there, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'm going to be looking at Farm 54 by Gilad and Gilad Seliktar. Probably totally mispronouncing that. Apologies. This is from Fanfare Pontemon, which I probably also mispronounced. This is a book I picked up at Comic-Con. The Fanfare Pontemon had an awesome booth with a bunch of Jiro Taniguchi in this book and another book that I grabbed there that we'll be taking a look at some point. I grabbed this because earlier in the con I had seen the first booth we went to actually was the New Jewish Press booth, and they had the But I Live, which is a collection of three short stories, true stories of children who survived the Holocaust. And this cover by Gilad Seliktar immediately caught my attention. I really liked the art on it. I forgot to wrap around and buy this at con, so I went back and bought it on Amazon. And I don't know, I tried to review it, and I just wound up I didn't like the book enough, and so I felt like it was inappropriate to post this really negative review about this book of Holocaust survivors. But basically I found it to be a kind of dead academic work in general. It seems like it's meant for schools and stuff to have some literature on the Holocaust, which is great. That's a great goal, but it just wasn't something that you just pick up and read. It's not like Mouse where you go, wow, this is a great work. You know, it's tough stuff to talk about, but it's great work. It just seems educational, and a large part of the book is these history essays and stuff. But the highlight of this book, and I knew it right away flipping through it at the booth, was who is this artist? Oh, that's Gilad Seliktar. Okay, I immediately went and added Gilad on Instagram and was looking on Amazon, and so really happy when I ran into more of Gilad's work at the Fanfare Pontemon booth. And you see this kind of sparse, brushy artwork with these just one or two spot colors, three spot colors in this case. In this book, all the art's obviously done digitally. In Farm 54, it looks more physical. It looks like actual pen and ink drawing with then a second layer that got painted with ink and then turned into a second spot color, because you get these effects that just seem more natural. That actually might be a computer effect. I don't know. But there's more of these dry brushy effects that look legitimately dry brushy. There's none of the stuff that's a giveaway as it was in this But I Live. There were these kind of marks like this that look like giveaway digital marks to me. But all throughout Farm 54, even if it is digital, it feels very analog in its making. And I just really love this style. It reminds me a little bit, I think, of Dave McKean's Cages, just kind of the freshness of the line work, the immediacy of the line work. Obviously, there was photo references and stuff, but it almost feels like all of the drawing was just done straight to ink, from the photographs. It doesn't look like there was much sketching involved. And then just some real beautiful interplay between line and shape, areas that are just entirely shaped, not bounded by line. I really love that, and it's something I want more in my artwork. It also reminds me of kind of the austere serenity of Gigi's art, which I've gone on about in other videos. So it's just a vibe that I like, and I admire the simplicity of it all. I especially love these scenes in the first story, Lifeguard, of these kids swimming. I think I just have an affinity for images of people swimming. I just, every time I see that, I kind of go on about how well done it is, whether it be Bastien Vivez with his book, I'm going to blank on the title right now, but his book about swimming, The Taste of Chlorine. That's a really good book. Or the other book that I just looked at, The Quiet Thoughts, where I really enjoyed the piece of swimming. I don't know, I just like those images. I've always liked swimming. I've always liked watching the bodies move in water, and all of these artists, especially both Bastien Vivez and Gilad Seliktar, did a real good job of using line work and then shape And so I just think these are beautiful, beautiful scenes. The stories in this book are equally interesting. They're all autobiographical, which, you know, normally for me is kind of a turnoff, but they're a weird combination, and I don't want to give away all of them, but they're a weird combination between like death happening and something like highly sexualized happening, like at the same time. And like in this first story, it's the sexual encounter happening in the pool, the sexually tense encounter happening in the pool that allows Gilad, I'm assuming this is a true story, is what it's saying, to ignore the fact that her brother or some kid in the pool is drowning. And that kind of combination between death and sexuality runs throughout this book in a really uncomfortable but intense way. And that what makes these stories work is the through line through them all. So they work as a collection of stories, and then just the intensity of the story makes it like, well, that was a story that you needed to write down for sure. So that's the first one. The second one starts off with this, well, actually it starts a few pages earlier. There's like a build up. Well, no, this is from the previous story. You see this dog, and then in the second story you get this build up sequence. I just love the drawings in here of the dog, and then the dog gets hit by a car, and yeah, all through this sequence, beautiful stuff. And then the dog goes down and dies in the basement, and then the rest of the story is, you know, based around the dog being dead in the basement. I don't want to give away all the stories in here, because I definitely think you should go buy this book. And then the third story here is about Gilad being enlisted into the Israeli army, and just kind of the tension of having the male and female soldiers there, and like sexuality and death kind of pushed up against each other in that situation as well. It's really interesting. I mean, more beautiful drawing all throughout. This suggesting that she might be pregnant when she's going in, which doesn't really go anywhere, so I don't know if I'm just over reading into that. And then I just had to put a sticky on this page, because again, there's these like so little on the page in areas, and it adds up to so much in a lot of these drawings. And I just find Gilad's art style just absolutely phenomenal. In the back, I didn't read this because I don't usually like these postscripty, let me explain what I did, but it's interesting because Gilad and Gilad are brother and sister. Gilad, the brother, being the illustrator, and Gilad, the sister, being the writer of these stories, her autobiographical stories. And so they interview each other. They just interview each other about their memories, because this is about the actual farm they grew up on. You get some pictures of that. And then just, you know, talking about their collaboration and stuff. I didn't read it too carefully. I just kind of glanced through it. Because again, I don't know. I like when work speaks for itself, so I try to not engage with the stuff in the back just because it seems unnecessary to me. But these are the kind of extras that I know a lot of people like. It's like all the bonuses on the DVD. So it's a cool extra for people who are into that. Something else to point out on this is that the paper is just amazing. Like the whole production of these Potent Mon books are amazing. And when we talked to the guys at the booth, it was very, very obvious that they really cared. I forget if it was this book. I think it was this book, but one of the books that we picked up, I comment on a paper. It might have been this one. I don't remember. And they said, oh yeah, we had that paper made. They had a paper custom made for some of their books, and they had to make a certain, like, kind of obscene amount of it to even justify it being made. And they made this obscene amount for what I'm assuming is a fairly small print run of a book. And you can see it in the production of these books. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous reproduction. They absolutely know what they're doing. I've read a number of their Jiro Taniguchi books too, and they do an amazing job with the insane little tiny details he gets. But just the real feeling of the artwork, and then it's like this nice creamy paper that has this really rough texture to it, so it's a very tactile experience, and it winds up making these look kind of like lithographic prints or something all throughout. So really just have to, on top of the beautiful art, comment on and commend the amazing production job that Ponton Mon did on these books and all of their books. It was just, everything at the table looked great. I wish I would have had more money. So if you haven't, I know a lot of people are into Jiro Taniguchi, but if you haven't checked out the rest of Ponton Mon's catalog, definitely check it out. It all looked great, and like I said, they obviously really care about books, and they're really, really nice guys. I paid for this one, and the other one I grabbed from them, he just said, I'll go ahead and give that to you guys for free, because we like talking to you and stuff. So really great guys that we met at the con, and really appreciate it. I'll be reading and doing a review of the other book that they gave me. I forget the title off the top of my head, but cannot recommend this book enough. More Farm 54 by Gilad and Gilad Seliktar from Fanfare Ponton Mon. If you want to support what we're doing here on the channel, the best thing you can do is buy the books that Sean has out from Living the Line and the books that are coming out from Living the Line. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those now. The Abolition of Man is a 5-issue mini-series done by myself and Sean in collaboration with the Midjourney AI. What you're seeing here is the cover to issue 1 and the first couple pages of issue 1. This first issue, we fed it an essay by C.S. Lewis, and this is just the imagery that the computer spat back at us. Issues 2 and 3 are a narrative, starting with the story that I wrote when I was 21, and then Sean's going to write issue 3, picking up where I left off. In this one, I'm kind of trying to force the AI to give me the images I want, and then doing some tweaking in Photoshop to get these kind of colored looks on it. For issue 4, we're turning the task of writing over to the AI as well. So the AI has written the script, and then we've just put that into the Midjourney AI, and it's turned out art. The script and the art is some of the absolutely most horrific stuff I've ever seen. We're a bit scared to even publish this issue. And I don't have any art to show for it yet, but Sean and I have decided to do a 5th issue of Abolition as well, because we have someone who we're really, really excited to have on board, providing an essay for that 5th issue that we'll illustrate, and we'll announce more about that soon. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.